Hi there, and welcome back to Mind-Body Relationship, where we talk about the mind, the body, and the relationship. Hi there, my name is Emerald Hill, and this is Dr. Laurie Hill.
Well, hello, Emerald. How are you doing today?
I'm doing really good. How are you doing today?
Really good.
What are we talking about?
Today we're talking about perception.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And perception, as I always say, always wins. It's the way in which we perceive things, right? We do addition and then we come up with an equals, and that is our perception. And so our perception is actually really a thoughtful process, right? Okay. We think it through, right? Yesterday you didn't show up. Today you didn't show up, right? Obviously there's an issue. My perception is that either you don't care or you need to be doing something else.
Okay.
Right? And so it's really good just to be able to recognize that if a person perceives you in a certain way, they say something to you, right? I think that you aren't interested in this, right? That's about something. And so because perception always wins, then it's about taking that into consideration as to what it is that you need to be doing in order to create change.
Right, okay.
If you want to make that person happy.
Okay.
Yes. Have you ever had a situation where you've been perceived in a certain way?
Yes. Not so much now, but when I was bigger, I think a lot of people have the perception that fat people are stupid and lazy.
Oh, interesting.
And so a lot of the time when I was given like projects or I was in a group project, a lot of the time either people were like, oh, I'm going to give this to you so that when you don't get it done, you're the one who failed.
Wow.
And so I think it was always kind of like a level of resentment when, you're in school. So I had to get it done because I'm in school, right? So I got the projects done. And a lot of the time those people, I guess, would resent me or be surprised by it because they didn't anticipate that, one, it would be done, and two, I would finish the class with like 85%.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So just in regards to perception, did you ever find that it was easy to actually get past that?
To get past that?
Their perceptions?
I think it was difficult. It was always difficult because it wasn't like, oh, I did it once, so now they respect me. It was like, I don't know, it would go on for years. Like while I was, in the same class as them, it would be constant like, you're not good enough. You can't do this. You're not intelligent. No matter how many times I'd say, well, that's interesting that you say that because I got an 85 and you got a 60. So I don't know where this is coming from. But it would be constant, the looks of, and the, oh, you're gonna whatever. And it's just like, I don't think that unless they also want to put in an effort to change their perception of you, I think that that's a mountain of work.
It's so true. But that's a really good outline in regards to how it is perception works, right? The perception is actually really about them. It's come from somewhere within them. Right. And it's very little to do with you.
Yeah.
That's why it is that perception always wins. Because it is about the other person and what that addition is to come up with their conclusion.
And it's so interesting too, because it doesn't actually matter who that person is for them to have that perception of you, because I had that perception placed on me by people who were thin and by people who were my size and people who were bigger than me.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it's just an interesting phenomenon, right? So before perception actually really works, something actually sets in place, which is called neuroception.
Interesting.
And neuroception is actually really a gut reaction.
Right.
So it's not a conscious thought process. It's not A plus B equals C, right? It's an emotional reaction based upon whether or not you're anticipating, am I safe? Am I in danger? Or is my life being threatened?
That's a very interesting point, because while we're talking about this, my mind immediately goes to like people who have hockey hair.
Oh.
Where they always wear a cap backwards and grow their hair out so that it's flipped
over
their cap. Well, The perception that I have of these people is that they're like frat boys.
Okay.
And that there's a certain uncomfortable feeling when I'm in a room with someone who has that hairstyle. Because to me that says that they're, kind of entitled and like really abrasive and aggressive.
Yeah. Interesting.
And so it's very, difficult to be able to say to myself, well, I shouldn't have this perception of this person because I've never met them before, and also keep, myself safe.
Interesting. Actually, as it is that you were saying that, what came to mind was what's happening today, which is to do with mask wearing.
Right.
And it's so interesting because for me, when it was that I was walking into the office one day, there was a fellow that was walking out of the office in a ski mask.
Wow.
So his, take on wearing a mask was wearing the ski mask, right? And then all of a sudden, right, there's a gut reaction that sets in.
I'm in danger.
I'm in danger because the truth is that you really can't see anything beyond the person's eyes now.
Right.
Right. And so based upon your interpretation of what mask wearing means to you, right? When you see something, you're going to have a gut internal reaction. Your nervous system is going to be set off that says to you something.
Yeah.
Right? And it's, am I safe? Am I in danger? Or is my life being threatened?
Right.
Then comes into perception. My perception, he's walking out the door. He's actually really got a bag in his hand, which was from the pharmacy, right? Oh, okay. COVID is actually really happening. And even though it took me off guard because it really felt out of place, I was able to take my neuroception into my perception to be able to say, oh, I'm okay.
Yeah.
Right? I'm still safe here. Right? So it's just an interesting phenomenon.
Right.
And good just to be able to recognize that we are constantly trying to determine that.
Right.
Am I safe? Am I in danger? Or is my life being threatened?
Right.
Right? So safety, safe and social, right? Smiling, engaged, right?
Yeah.
Compassionate, caring, all of those kinds of things. Am I in danger is actually really sort of like quieter, paying attention around me, right? Constantly sort of sussing out what it is that's happening.
Maybe compressing yourself.
That's right. Making yourself more smaller, right? That sort of thing. And then, of course, we go into life being threatened, which is actually really shutdown mode.
Right.
Right? Not able to engage. The brain isn't even thinking anymore. Right? Just that sort of thing. So it's really good just to be able to identify that. And the number one way in which we are able to identify that is actually really looking into one another's eyes.
Yeah. Yeah. What's interesting is when I think about this, I think about when I was in high school and there would be the students that just couldn't do a presentation.
Ah, yes.
No matter if it was even in physical education class where you're just talking about like, oh, when you do a bicep curl, this happens,
Yeah.
Like they just couldn't do it. And when they're asked to come and present their findings, they stare at the desk, they don't make eye contact, they don't talk. And it's just kind of like this awkward thing of, okay, well, this person's obviously in like fight or flight mode.
Well, exactly, right? So that's a really great description, right? A person who's safe and social can stand up in front of people, have a conversation, in essence, be themselves, engage, right? And you do that in regards to crowd work.
Oh, I do, yeah.
Right? Interesting, right? And then you have the next level, and the next level is the danger. That actually really might be the person that's on their cell phone reading what it is that they're supposed to be presenting so that their eyes are away from the audience, right? A way in which to keep themselves safe and focused, right?
Or those presenters who have a slide and there's not even words on the slide, it's just a picture, but they're constantly staring at the slide and talking to the slide instead of actually turning out to the audience.
Exactly. And then we have shutdown mode, right? My life is actually threatened. And these are the people who really actually, they can't even get up.
No, they can't even get up. No.
No, like they're just not able to get up on the stage.
Right. And some people actually black out.
Oh, interesting.
Like they don't even remember.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Right. Okay. Let's try a little bit of an eye contact exercise.
Okay.
Okay? All right. So first we're going to start with a glare, right? It's strong, intense, right? All right. So what is your neuroception actually really saying to you as you see us glare? Soft and inviting. What did you feel as it is that we were doing that?
While I was making the faces?
Yeah.
Well, typically when I glare at people, it's a warning. Like
Interesting.
it's like you are telling me or doing something that I am very not impressed with. So I'm giving you a chance to fix yourself.
Right.
What was it? Neutral?
Neutral.
Neutral is typically when I'm not entirely understanding what somebody's saying, or like, I'm just like taking in information. And what's interesting with neutral is that sometimes when someone's talking and you're just staring them neutrally, they start to work themselves up.
Yeah, it's very interesting, isn't it? Right? Mm-hmm. Because now what's happening is they're actually, with their neuroception, danger. They're getting into danger, right? There's something wrong here.
Yeah. And sometimes a neutral expression is really good for when you're kind of, I guess, testing someone. Like, they say something like, I don't know, something rude. And then you kind of just stare at them neutrally.
Yeah. And
don't say anything. And then they kind of get to themselves like, oh, I've said something wrong. And you don't even have to glare at them.
Yeah.
Soft is like, I think soft is always saving. I always saved my very soft kind of expressions for people who, I want to invite into my life. Like, my boyfriend or my parents or, people who I want to feel comfortable around me. Or someone else who is having a really hard time. Like, for example, someone who's struggling on stage is like, oh, I'm giving them a soft expression so that, not telling them that, they're actually funny if they're not, but just like, it's okay, you'll be fine.
Well, then that's really interesting, right? Because those three different facial expressions actually really do give us a lot of information, right? Mm-hmm. And can send us into... safe and social, mm-hmm. right? It can then take us to danger, which is interesting in regards to just neutral, right? And then to life-threatening, right? Which is the glaring, right?
Which is interesting because it's like neutral, you can take away from it whatever you want. Except the thing is, people always like get into their own heads about it.
Well, it's so true, right? And that's really, really important to pay attention to, right? There can be a misattunement. Mm-hmm. And the misattunement is because the gut is actually telling the person something. The neuroception is saying something to them based upon those three different categories where it is that they need to be. And that is coming from somewhere. And perhaps the person has come across a very traumatic incident. And so they're basing the neuroception. It's not even a conscious thing. It's a totally subconscious thing. It's just a bodily reaction, right? That's what it is that they need to do in order to protect themselves.
Yeah, a great example of this for me is when I wrote a one-woman show and I was pitching it to my friends. And I was kind of anticipating some kind of laughter or like, a soft expression. It was entirely neutral as far as I got with it. And then my gut reaction was, she doesn't like it. This isn't good. I have to stop. And I immediately went into kind of flight mode and I shut it down and I was like, that's enough. Like, I worked really hard on this. You don't like it. Obviously, you don't have time for this.
Danger.
Danger.
Right. Danger, right into life threat,
Yeah.
Interesting, eh?
Yeah.
Yeah. So as much as it is perception wins, the truth is the neuroception is actually subconsciously, bodily telling us something before it is that we even get to the perception. So that perception might be real, meaning that it's actually really something that's happening, or imagined, meaning that it's something that's coming from a past experience that says you need to protect yourself.
Right.
Yes. So it's a very, very difficult thing to start to really pay attention to with yourself. But it's really good to actually really know, just because you're showing someone that you're neutral doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to receive you as neutral.
True.
Right? They can actually really receive you on this end of the spectrum, right? It's okay. Or on this end of the spectrum, I'm in danger.
Right.
Right? This is a life-threatening situation.
Wow, it's so interesting to talk about these things with you. It's like so enlightening. It's just like, oh, yeah, I get it now. Well, thank you so much for talking to me about this, Laurie.
No problem, Emerald. And thank you all for joining us.
Yep, thank you for tuning in. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up, subscribe, stay subscribed, and we'll see you next time.
All right. Bye for now.
Bye.